Good afternoon, everybody. This is Simeon Papalias, managing partner and co-founder of the REC, the Real Estate Center. This is the fourth episode of REC Insights, and I wanted to introduce a good friend of the REC and the president of RAD Marketing, Mr. Dhanji. Riz, thank you for joining us on REC Insights.
Thank you, Simeon, for having me on today.
Awesome. What I wanted to touch on today is there's some really big news that have been coming out of the King West neighborhood in Toronto for the last couple of years. There's some massive news this week coming out of the King West neighborhood, again, making headlines. And what is happening there, I know your firm is extremely involved in kind of the higher end evolution of Toronto's downtown core. Some of the projects you've worked on are the St. Regis and Shangri-La, YC condos, Aura, which is, I don't know if it still is or...
Still is Canada's tallest condo.
Still is Canada's tallest condo. So you've had you've had tremendous success, and congratulations to you and your vision and your firm for making all those projects happen. But recently, last year, you were involved in the launch of King Toronto, a world-class development, a massive development on King Street. Tell us a little bit about King and that project, just so everybody, not all our viewers are from Toronto. Our channel does have viewers throughout North America. Our channel is syndicated throughout over 170,000 viewers. So tell us a little bit about King Street and a little bit about King Toronto from a project perspective.
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, Allied REIT, one of the largest REITs in Canada, who owns most of King West, started accumulating land on King Street at King and Spadina area. And they accumulated close to 600 feet of frontage on King Street in the downtown core, which today is next to impossible to do. And what they did is they partnered with one of the world's most visionary real estate developers, Westbank Corporation, who's responsible for projects like Vancouver House in Vancouver and the Shangri-La in Toronto, the Shangri-La in Vancouver. And they wanted to do something iconic in this location. King Street has never had that sort of iconic status before. So, Westbank brought in Bjarke Ingels. And Bjarke Ingels is a 40-year-old architect who is considered the most influential architects in the world today. He actually has 3 Netflix shows. He did the Lego house in Denmark. He's done the #2 World Trade Center. So he's got, worldwide notoriety for his projects and sustainability.
And they're based out of New York, no?
He's got Copenhagen and he's got New York as an office.
Because he is Danish, which is why Copenhagen.
Correct.
New York for kind of global headquarters.
Correct. And so what he did is he came in and said, how do we create something unique on this site with that amount of frontage? So he looked at Habitat 67 in Montreal, which most people should know is Moshe Safdie's project for Expo 67, which was sort of this truncated building that had these boxes, and it circulated throughout the project. And then he looked at the Maison de Verre in France, which is a glass block building, and said, what if we married the two and created these cubicle kind of mountains that you would see in Whistler, or you would say around the world in Europe, and put this right in the center of downtown Toronto, and then added a green element of 200 different species of plants, and then kept the heritage building that is what King West is known for, and actually have these buildings rise, these mountains rise from the top of it, and then create this special courtyard in the center of it with this art piece that comes through the center, and say, you know what, I'm walking through Carnaby in London, and that's the shopping experience I have. And everyone said, this is impossible. The city of Toronto could not wrap their heads around it. They wanted Two buildings coming out like the typical city of Toronto,
Yeah.
brick buildings, typical on there. And West Bank is all about beauty, and they wanted to create something special. So it took them another 5 years to get the city of Toronto to zone this. And now we have King Toronto, which is probably going to be the most iconic building in Canada's history.
I think so too. I'm actually going to try to ask our post-production team to maybe put some imagery up as we carry on with this conversation, because the reason I wanted to bring you on Insights, and I'm so glad you did, is because King Toronto is not the only iconic building you've worked with.
No.
Massey Tower. Massey Tower is based on the old Massey Bank. That was a bank.
Yeah.
Across the Meeting Center.
Yeah.
And Gary Switzer's vision came across on that, and now it's complete and it's going into occupancy, and it's fabulous to see. Aura, that we mentioned a second ago, is Canada's tallest condominium. How many stories exactly are we at there?
It tops at around 85 stories, 1.1 million square feet of residential, 1,000 units in there. It's the largest building will ever be built in Canada of that amount of density in one project.
And that's incredible, because we were just in New York, my partner Jas and I, we went down with our entire media squad, and we had some really cool interviews. We actually interviewed Related Developments, which did the Hudson Yards project along with Oxford, and we met the senior VP there, Stephen Winter, and to hear what it took to put that project together, the vision and the patience and the perseverance to go through what they had to go through to literally cover an entire New York train yard and build 1 million square feet of commercial and another, I don't know how many million square feet of office and residential. It was just a project that blew my mind completely. Now I'm kind of seeing this unravel right in front of my eyes here in the city.
Yes.
But what I'm seeing is, so we had this launch of King Toronto and King Street, which in my opinion, not in my opinion, the city's opinion, this is going to change our city.
Absolutely.
We're watching our city slowly become world class by developers going the extra mile, by putting landmarks up instead of the cookie cutter, let's do this for profit, let's cut corners, put up boxes, and onto the next project. We're starting to see a lot of pride by developers in creating a legacy in the city, which is not something that was being done through the 90s and the first decade of 2000, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're fully right.
Yeah. So this week on Saturday, a massive launch is happening by Tridel, which is one of the city's biggest developers, and they're launching the 3 condominium towers in a development called The Well. Anybody in Toronto that's anyhow related to real estate would definitely know the project that we're talking about. It's at Spadina, between Wellington and Front Street on the west side of Spadina. And it takes up, I don't know how many acres, 7-acre or 8-acre site. What's being developed there, for those who don't know, are 2 significantly large office towers with 70, I think it's a single, the big one is a single tower.
Yes.
There's the office in another one. Yes. 70% leased already.
Yes.
And it's going to be anchored by Spotify, and rumors is that Google is in there as well.
Well, Shopify is in there. They've got 200,000 square feet. They have the right to go up to 400,000 square feet.
Got it.
Spotify is also in there. And there's going to be some announcements from other big tech companies that are coming.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this tech boom, because what's happening is I visited Tridel. We're good friends. Again, Tridel has been a friend of the RAC for a long time. We've been selling their product for a long time, and they put together solid, great investor and user-friendly product. They always focus on livability and putting bigger suites together for the long term, which is nice. But they're going to be launching at prices that a lot of even Torontonians get sticker shock. When King Toronto, the project that you launched, came out at the prices that it did, which today don't seem so far-fetched anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. In just a year. So I'll talk about that. This is more of a news, a little news and trend magazine. when King Toronto launched at around that $1,400 to $1,600 square foot range.
Yeah.
And we have now product in Toronto's eastern limits. Let's call it Corktown, launching at $1,200 a square foot. We're going to have product by Ryerson that's coming to market over the next few months at most. They're just waiting for their final approvals. They're going to be launching at between $1,200 and $1,400 a square foot. Tridel is going to market at around that $1,300 a square foot mark. And this is not luxury product.
Correct.
This is great product.
Yes.
Not to say that it's low end or medium. It's great product, but it is not luxury product.
Right.
And the difference between, for example, a King project by Bjarke Ingels, where you have a world-class architect behind the project, you have finishes that are handcrafted and millwork, etc., coming straight from Italy, and all these things that make a project unique. It's one thing to pay $1,500 a square foot for something like that, and it's a very different story when the market catches up with just less than a year, where your great product is now competing with luxury product pricing. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I think the people who bought a King are going to do a lot better than they thought they would in a much shorter time that they thought they would.
Right.
So it's beautiful to see the success of the project. What do you think? What do you think West Bank's King and Allied and RioCan and Tridel's Well? What is this doing for that corridor of the city?
Well, you know, it's really interesting because when I started selling the Shangri-La back in 2010, you know, nobody really wanted to go down University and, you know, the entertainment district. It was considered kind of, why would you put a luxury hotel in the entertainment district and not Yorkville? That was the conversational piece I always had. It made no sense, you know? And, you know, we fast forward to today, and it was funny because last year when the film festival was on, my wife wanted to go to the One Hotel and sit outside for her birthday, which is around the film festival, and not stay at Shang. I was actually at the Shangri-La during the film festival, and it was like, I can't believe how many celebrities, everybody was at the Shangri-La. It was the place to be. And so I made reservations at the One the same evening. I go outside, and I don't think there was more than 5 people in Yorkville.
Yeah.
And that, to me, woke up my eyes that there's this shift from Yorkville being the luxury destination to now sort of, you know, the entertainment district and the West End being that entertainment district, being that luxury.
I think there's a cool factor. I think Yorkville still is the luxury capital of the city, but I think the cool factor is shifting, and it has been shifting for a decade. King Street West has been cool for as long as, again, like I'm 39 years old. So from when I was 25 years old, when I could afford to leave the Danforth to my days today, it's very rare that if I go out for a night on the town, whether it's with my wife or with business partners, it's very difficult to not end up at King Street West.
Correct.
So the food, the culture, and the vibe is definitely there. What does adding 1 million square feet of office and potentially 3,000 jobs that are paying well into the 6 figures, how do we think that's going to change Fort York, which is right next to us? How do we think that's going to change Concord and the whole City Place corridor? How do we think that's going to change that? Do we think the rents are just going to go through the roof?
So I think what's going to happen is, you know, King Toronto borders where the Well is, because and Rio and Allied's a partner in both of them. Mm-hmm. They were instrumental. You know, Allied was instrumental in building King West. They own close to 100 buildings there. They built the Entertainment One. They were the first ones to really bring the tech industry into King West. They're filling up all their projects. They brought in the Bukas, the amazing restaurants that are there. And now you're looking at what they're doing at the Well with Shopify and all that, and what they're doing with the retail, which is 200,000 square feet at King Toronto, it's going to be curated retail that you would see in Yorkville coming down, that luxury coming down to King Street, which we'd never seen before.
Let me just expand a little bit on what you said, curated retail. And to give credit to Allied, who created King West, I want to go back to that because sometimes investors and thinkers don't see what's underlying. When an area comes up, when a landlord like Allied starts buying up an entire street, which is what they did, and we're talking about King Street West all the way to King Street East. Nobody owns more real estate than Allied. And when you said the word curated, that means that you handpick and you choose your tenant profiles, how they fit in with each other, what they do to each other, and what they do to a neighborhood. Allied's objective is simple. Turn an area from what it was, which we know what King Street West was. There was strip joints and little mom and pop, this, that, the other. It's become a world-class destination. When TIFF comes to town and people want to be there, that means that people who can afford to be anywhere in the world want to be here.
Absolutely.
So when you say the people, like obviously your client who is Allied, are going to be curating 200,000 square feet is not a lot of space anymore. When the city is growing at the rapid pace that it is. There's going to be hand-picked tenants there. There's going to be hand-picked retail, which is only going to help put that vibe further and create more of that community that they want to create.
Yeah, and I think Allied and I got to give West Bank credit. When they built Shangri-La, they could have put any restaurateur in there, but they actually went out and got David Chang, who is the world's best chef today, rated in Time magazine and one of the 100 most influential people in the world, to open his first outpost in Toronto at the Shangri-La. Now, like you said to me, you went to Hudson Yards, okay? Yeah. I went to Hudson Yards just last month. On the 4th floor of Hudson Yards, David Chang has this little Korean outpost, and he's got this sushi restaurant.
Yes.
It's one of the most innovative places I've ever seen, and it's like the hottest thing. David Chang's opening up stuff in New York that will blow the city away.
We made a big mistake. We were so hungry that downstairs they put this entire Spanish pavilion.
Yes, I went there too, yes.
So we go downstairs, we stuffed our faces with paellas and all these delicious treats. Then we start walking through the mall and we see everything else that's there. I said, come on.
I know, you could have, So, to have David Chang in there is just made this city just so much more higher profile. And what West Bank and Allied are doing is they're taking that curation of restaurants and food with luxury retail and putting this all in King Toronto, which will enhance the neighborhood on top of what the Well is doing. You're going to have 3,000 workers there. They're all making great incomes. They're only going to raise the rent. There's going to be people that don't want to live in average buildings. They're going to want to live in a King Toronto. They'll pay $7 to $8 a foot in rent to be able to be there. And you're going to see like the Well and these places take over as the major destination for employment, especially for the tech industry in all of Canada, which is what we're really excited about.
So further to that, I was speaking, a good friend of mine, he's the CEO of a marketing agency located 2 blocks away on one of the smaller streets close to between Kensington and King. He's an avid real estate investor, multi-transactional client, and he's savvy. We're not talking about somebody who gets excited with hype, etc. He goes to me, Simeon, what do we have on the go right now? I said, I have this project, this project, this project. Very well. He says, what else do you have? I said, well, I mean, the Well's coming up. I was like, introduce you to take a look at what kind of pricing and what kind of deals we can put together there. Well, he goes, the Well. I said, what's wrong? He goes, the Well's going to be the end of me, he goes. I said, what do you mean? He goes, there's going to be such an incredible demand for talent that students coming out of Waterloo into engineering, into software design, into all those tech positions that Spotify, Google, Amazon, every single one needs fulfillment. And the tech boom is so fast and so big in our city right now that anybody that has a shop that's not the size of Shopify, which is nobody, is actually very, very nervous as to the impact that it's going to have on their businesses. They're going to be paying hand over fist to get talent, which means only one thing. That's going to resolve itself. Nobody's going out of business. We're in a tech boom. If they have to raise prices to the market to cover what they have to do to expenses, that's capitalism. And that's supply and demand. So I'm not worried about his business. But what I am seeing is I'm going to be seeing 25-year-olds coming out of university, the 40-year-olds that are the seniors in the business at this point and above that are all going to be making $250,000 a year in their households, $300K a year for a combined household income starting.
Yes.
Looking for housing.
Yeah, and it's funny because my friend used to be the president of Mars, and he ran basically the entire ecosystem for the startup companies, and they incubate these guys.
Yeah, they have an incubator at Mars. That's the coolest part of town. Yeah.
So he ran that section, and he said the biggest problem with Toronto is I have a company that has 5 guys. They have an amazing product. They go out to market, they raise $100 million. The investors say, you need to hire from 5 people to 500 people in the next year and a half, and I need you to take your space, which is 5,000 square feet, and grow it to 25,000 square feet. And so he said, it's impossible because all of them want to be in the King Street side, and there's no office space. The biggest problem we're having in Toronto is there's literally either no housing for those people that don't want to have a cookie cutter. They want to have unique, amazing product. They're making great money, like you said. There is no product like it, and they can't find office space. The biggest issue Toronto has today is that the vacancy rate for office is less than 1% today, especially in King Street. And
I think you just said the biggest thing right there. Office vacancy is at 1%.
Correct.
Residential vacancy today is at 0.6%.
Right.
We are in trouble.
We're in very big trouble. And that's what he said to me. He said the biggest problem with Toronto today is not the growth opportunities. It's just there's no space available. And so when you have no space available, how do these companies take that $100 million and force to grow, because that's what they're required to do with this capital, and take it from a 5-man operation to a 500-man operation in a year to 2 when they cannot do it in Toronto? And the biggest stumbling block that Toronto has is it's growing so fast and we cannot keep up with the demand on housing or office supply. And it's only going to get worse.
How long do you think this is going to go on for?
I can't see it stopping anytime soon. I can honestly say that Toronto is now a world-class destination for the tech community. I think people from the US, we've got talent coming in from around the world. They cannot get into the US. They do not want to be in the US. They do not want to be in European countries. They want to be in a safe destination, raise their families, and grow in an ecosystem that's unique. And the Canadian government's done a great job by allowing people, if you have a tech job and you're a professional, they can expedite your visa to get in here. And now what's happened is that everyone around the world wants to come here. The problem is we can't just support it. And I don't think that this is going to be a problem that's going to slow down anytime soon. We just cannot build fast enough for the amount of people that are moving into Toronto and the amount of people that want to work in Toronto.
Riz, I couldn't agree with you more. It's a message we carry every day to our audience. Obviously, we're in the real estate business, and we provide inventory and options for investment to our clients. But we're also we're now at the size where we're transacting anywhere between 650 and 800 transactions a year, which is
fantastic.
It's become a big responsibility as to how you place your clients' money, where you place your clients' money, and we're starting to see our influence. I can't drive down a street in Toronto where I can't point out to buildings where I was part of this. I was a part of this. So in almost 15 years of real estate, I'm starting to feel, and it is pride, but it's also this funny feeling inside. Like if you were to walk by the Shangri-La, you know what it took to get it there.
Yeah.
walk by Aura, Canada's tallest building. You had something to do with it, Riz.
That's amazing.
So it's that feeling that I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
we need to close this off. I'm going to close this off, but I want to end this, and I want to hear your remarks on, again, you're an influential person in the real estate business. You're an influential person in how the city, because you advise your clients. Your client's the developer, and from your standpoint, you need to advise your client as to where the market is, what the market wants, and how to deliver it. So from a consulting perspective, you have a tremendous influence on what comes to market.
Right.
And how and when. What is your vision, firstly, for King West? Where do you think it's going to be in 5 years from today? So after the well is built, because that's going to be built by 2022, after West Bank's project finishes the King, which is what, 2024?
2023.
2023. So let's talk about the end of that. So that block is now developed. What does King Street feel like, and where do you see Toronto going?
First of all, I think King is going to be the most robust part of Toronto in history. And I honestly feel that there's not only King Toronto, which is going to change the landscape of all of Canada, and Toronto itself. The Well, which is going to be an incredible addition to the city. We've got the above grade park. That's going to be the elevated park that's going to be built as well.
That's awesome.
We also have the Ace Hotel that is coming into Toronto, just up the street from King Street, which is going to bring the young, hip people there. My friend is actually going to be building another hotel just a couple of blocks away from the Ace, which is going to blow the city away. There's another hotel that's coming up at King and Spadina as well, which will be announced shortly. I can honestly say that the new Soho of New York is going to be King Street West.
Yeah.
And those who don't get involved in it now will really miss the boat when 2023, 2024 comes along.
Yeah, and we're not promoting a project. That's not what this is.
I'm not about a project. I'm talking about a neighborhood that is going to transform the entire city and have a shift of where employment is going to be and a shift where residential ownership is going to be, and entertainment and hotels and services are only going to be in King West. And it's going to be the most desirable neighborhood in the next 5 years for everyone who want to live, work, and play. And I highly encourage people to, whatever you decide to do so in that neighborhood, because it's only going to get better.
Toronto?
As for Toronto in general, I think the problem that we have is that we cannot zone projects fast enough. Construction costs are going through the roof in the city. They're increasing at a rate of 8 to 10% a year. Land costs are at prices that I've never seen in my entire career. For instance, YC condos, for instance, they $40 a density foot in 2010. Today, that site would be between $400 a density foot. So that's 100 times in literally 5 to 6 years of what that is going to be. I feel that luxury prices in the city of Toronto are going to hit between $2,000 to $3,000 a foot, guaranteed in the next year and a half. I'm working on projects where I'm working on another iconic project that will be announced probably end of this year, early next year. That's going to blow the city away as well, like a King Toronto. That's going to have prices that will really be amazing. But I honestly don't believe that prices are going to come down in the city, and I feel like we've got a growth path, and it's only going to get better. And I highly encourage people to buy real estate. I think that people always get sticker shock when they see pricing, but they've got sticker shock when we were at $700 a foot. They had sticker shock when we were at $750 a foot, and I'm sorry, but it's still going up. So don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait is the concept we always say. And so I'm doing it. I bought at King Toronto. I've got 5 condos myself. It's the only wealth builder that you can really know that you're going to be doing well in. It's not the stock market. And people like you that are encouraging people to actually buy real estate, you're actually helping these people build their nest egg and their dream for themselves, which a lot of pundits and economists will come out and say the opposite of what you're saying, Simeon, but honestly, I don't think that without people like you really, evangelizing what real estate is about, people cannot build wealth in this country without doing it.
So I can tell you, I can't thank you enough for the kind words. Both me, my partner Jas Takhar, who runs the entire media division, he goes out of his way on a daily basis to feature the best people that, I'm not talking about jibber jabber talking the talk, people who are actually doing it. I've built everything that I own today, and I'm by no means no Onassis, okay? But everything that I've done in my career since I started in real estate, before I started selling real estate, I owned my first home. I owned my first business. Everything I am today is because of investing in real estate. I'm talking about my net worth and about my family's security for the future. If I did not invest in real estate, there's absolutely no chance whatsoever that I would be fractionally where I am today. Absolutely. And I can speak in the last 15 years for any of my clients, and we've had the wind in our sails. I'm not saying that the market hasn't been kind to us. It's been robust. We're fortunate. We're blessed to live in Toronto, to be a part of this city. But the fundamentals is what you said. You don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait. That is the number one fundamental. Prices fluctuating is for speculators and gamblers. If you hold real estate, the fundamentals are always there.
I agree.
In our case, we have a housing shortage crisis.
Correct.
So I think we're going to be good for a while to come.
Absolutely.
Riz, I can't wait to hear about the exciting developments that you're working on. I truly, genuinely appreciate the friendship and camaraderie that we share as being in the business together. I thank you for your time and your insight. And I look forward, and I'm sure the audience is going to look forward to seeing you again, hopefully before the end of the year.
Absolutely. Working on great stuff. Congratulations on all your success and what you're doing. And I think, I honestly think that you're only going to make Toronto better, because that's what the city needs.
On behalf of REC Insights, my partner, our entire media team, our entire real estate team that tirelessly ins and out every day, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
That's it.